Hello and welcome to this Norbord My Cabinet Guide video on how to assemble the 625 corner unit in the itch range. It's always best to assemble your unit on the cardboard box. That way you can protect the panels. Okay, I have my thick back panel, and this is the small part of one of my shelves. This is the small part of my base or top panel. And this is the large part of my base or top panel. I have two of those, and they both have a groove in them. Then I have the other shelf component and the other small part for my base. Then I have the two large parts for my shelf. Notice the holes in the edge here. I have my two side panels and my back panel. In each box there is an assembly guide. Please take the time to read this, as there is useful information on here that will help you to build your unit. It also tells you what items are in the box and the minimum tools required to get the job done. Now you need to follow your assembly guide carefully and build the unit in the correct order. Otherwise it's very difficult and you might find that you've assembled it incorrectly. These are the fittings you get in your unit. These are the special hinges for the 625/925 cabinets. You then get metal dowels, cams, wooden dowels, your shelf supports, some 15mm screws, some 25, some 30 and some 40mm screws, and these are your wall fixing brackets and the wall plates. Following the assembly guide, I'm going to lay my panels out. This is my left hand side panel and this is my right hand side panel because I've got the grooves together. I'm also going to lay out my thick back panel like that, because at this point I need to fix my wall hanging brackets. The wall hanging brackets are fitted to the pre-marked positions here, 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 here and here and here. It's advisable to drill a pilot hole for those so you know the screw's going to go in no trouble. Don't push too hard on the drill in case you go through. So taking my wall hanging brackets, I'm now going to fix these here, making sure that the hook goes towards the back of the unit into the little void here. You can use a cordless screwdriver to put the fittings in on your unit, but we would recommend a handheld screwdriver, because that way when you're putting the fittings in you can make sure you don't over tighten them. I'm now going to put my wall hanging brackets to the holes I've just drilled with the hooks towards the void at the back. Now using the 30mm screws provided. Don't over tighten the screws because you could damage the panel. And fitting my last one to my left hand side panel. I've now fitted my wall hanging brackets to my left hand panel, my right hand panel and my large back panel. The next thing I'm going to do is fit my metal dowels to the 5mm holes drilled in the panels. The metal dowel has a red sleeve. There are two reasons for this. The first is when you're turning it with a screwdriver, you can hold on to it to make sure that it goes squarely into your panel. And the second is that it means that when you insert your other panel into it, it means that it's a lot tighter joint. The metal cam has two arrows. There is a directional arrow, and this arrow here should always line up with the hole that's in the panel you're putting it in. The way the cam and the dowel work together is when you actually put your panels together, it's like this, and what you do, you turn the cam and it locks the two panels together. So you turn the cam and it all pulls it nice and tight together. And they go in the 5mm holes along the top here, and also the 5mm holes along the bottom. Putting these panels aside for the moment, I'm now going to assemble my top and bottom panels and my shelves. So taking your metal dowels, I'm now going to insert them into these two 5mm holes and then put the wooden dowels into these ones. And here. And taking your hammer, gently tap these into position. You can hear the sound change. Repeat for both ends of this panel, making sure you put them in the 8mm holes, not the holes where the metal dowels go. So push them in. I've completed my larger base panel. I'm now going to put the cams into my smaller base panel. And again, making sure the arrow's at the right way. I'm going to put them in all the holes here. I've assembled my top and base panels. Now I'm going to put my shelves together, and you do that in exactly the same way. You put your metal dowels into the two 5mm holes and your wooden dowels into the two 8mm holes. Again, putting the cams in, making sure that the arrows point into the raw chipboard edge. I'm now going to build my shelf up. Following the assembly guide, the shelf is built with the cams up like that. Tighten the cam up. Put that to one side. Build my second one up. Again, making sure the cams are up. So the panel goes together like that. The last thing I'm going to do before I start building the unit up is to insert the 8mm wooden dowels into my top and base panel. Following around, you'll find the holes. There we are. And the last two are here. There we are. And repeat for this panel. So I've laid my large back panel out. I'm now going to insert my top panel, because that's the top of the unit, because that's where my wall hanging bracket is. Making sure that the groove is parallel with the groove in the back panel. Insert it like so. Push it down. Tighten the cam as you go so you know you've done it. Yeah. Repeat for the bottom. I'm now going to slide my back panel in here, making sure that the cutouts go towards the top of the unit. So you do that like this. And that's now in its groove on the top, the back and the bottom. The next thing to do is to fit your left-hand side panel, because this is the left-hand side of your unit. And you can tell whether it's the left-hand panel by holding it like this with the groove towards you. The fitting should be at the top, like that. Lock my cams into position. I'm now going to turn my unit carefully onto its back, keeping it on the cardboard to protect the unit. I'm now going to fit my right-hand side panel. I can tell it's the right-hand side one because the groove is away from me and this is towards the top. Tighten up the cams. turn it onto its base. My unit is now ready to fit to the wall. The 625 corner unit is measured from this face here to this face here, and the opposite way is from this face here to this face here. Your wall hanging brackets here are actually in a slight void behind the back panel. That is correct. You need this slight gap that is here to enable this wall hanging bracket to work correctly. So what that means is all of this side here will touch the wall. The gap will be here, and this side here touches the wall here. So fitting my shelf supports into the unit, I'm going to put them in like this. You have 6 shelf supports for every shelf. The reason I assemble the shelf following the assembly guide is, if you don't, you'll see these cams when you fit it into the unit. They actually go down towards the bottom, put it in, put the bottom one in first at a slight angle, put the second one in like this, and then raise the first one up, like that. As you can see, the fittings are down, making this shelf very strong. And that's my unit completed.